Over the last couple of years I've had a hell of a job trying to get my V-dub to idle properly, and there's a few things that I've been working out that might be the same problem as you guys are having getting idling properly, idle troubles ironed out, and I'll go over a couple of them with you and see what I've been finding out. I'll just put you down there so I think you'll be in focus there. Now the first one is these rotors. If you measure the overall length of the rotor, because these castings are almost the same, that one, and then that's the middle length one there, so that's an extra 0.8 of a millimeters long, and this one here is an extra 1.5 millimeters. So that means that this short one, you can actually see the difference in the end on the casting, and they're in good condition. They're not old, they aren't eaten out or worn or anything. You can actually see the length, the extra 1.5 millimeters in that one compared to that one. So that means the spark is jumping an extra 1.5 millimeters to get to that before it does the 1.5 mils on the spark plug. If it's going to jump 1.5 mils, it might as well be on the spark plug, not on that. So that was the first one. Now the other one is when you take the end play out of these, just so there's a little bit of movement in it, you bush them up properly. When you sit that on top, I noticed in this one that's on the buggy at the moment, it doesn't reach halfway down the contact when that is bushed on both ends properly. So in actual fact, you really need a spacer down in the end of there, probably about 1 millimeter, 2 millimeter spacer down on there, so that doesn't sit down so hard. You want to space it so that it's sitting up 1.5 millimeters, so it's right in the middle of the contact. The one that's one on the bug at the moment was sitting right at the very top of the contact. Now the other one, my bug is, this is just a spare one that's not off my car. I've got an electronic ignition on mine which runs nice, beautiful. The other problem is if you've got a high lift cam on your bug, you've got to have slightly more advance to get a good idle. But if you set it at 30 degrees, your idle, if it comes back to 7 to 9 or whatever it is probably not what's required. If you've got a high lift cam, you might need 12 degrees of advance. If you like mine, which is a low compression motor with a hot cam, mine's going to be running nicely at about 16, 17 advance on the idle. So to get 17 advance so that it's not going over 30, you really have to, I've got some pliers here, no I haven't. What we need to do is to get these, and there's your throw. So to minimise that throw there is how many degrees, let's say 10 to 30 degrees is 20 degrees throw. That's 20 degrees. So what we've got to do, squeeze those in and knock off at least 7 degrees of throw, knock it off, so it's getting 13 degrees of throw. then I can time my bug at say 15 to 17 degrees and get 13 degrees of mechanical throw out of it till it's 30 degrees. So just squeeze those in so that you can only get 17 degrees out of it, whatever, 13 degrees, and then you don't go over your 30. And from 30 degrees to 40 degrees, then you rely on your other side up here, which is another 10, 30 to 40. So altogether we've then got idling at 15, 17 degrees, whatever mine requires, right up through to 44. The Pick 34, the 34 Pick 3 carburetors, absolutely love these Retard Advance. It just makes them so drivable in town. There's beautiful smooth power in town. On the open highway, 100 kilometers an hour, you're only just feathering the pedal. So that twist there is your manual, mechanical advance, and then on top of that twist, that there, which is this one here, is your vacuum advance. And the reason we need 40 degrees advance when you're on the open highway is that when you drop off your throttle and this drops into 40 degrees advance, your car is still firing only at 30, because a lean mixture takes 10 degrees extra time to track across and fire. It doesn't go bang. Every mixture doesn't go bang. Rich mixture will go bang. A lean mixture will go bang. So there's 10 degrees of lag. So at 40 degrees you're still firing. Your power is still at 30. And that's why your motor doesn't ping when you're pulling 40 degrees. And there's a lot of people out there who don't even believe that these things are pulling 40 degrees. They think, no, your car will blow up. Well, it doesn't. Your car runs so sweet at 40 degrees. With the 34 Pick 3 carburetor, all the ports and all your jetting is all worked out to suit that pull-in vacuum, to pull it into 44 degrees. Those are the two things that were getting me. The reason I had to shim my distributor with this empty carburetor, an empty distributor, carburetor, yeah, right, that's close, is the little teeth on the pickup on the bottom of your crankcase, or whatever they call it. I'm not right on names. But to get them in so that these things, if you put them in, the last one I put in was only just touching and just turning, and there was a lot extra depth to go in. So to put it down the extra depth, you have to take out some shims up on here and put a few extra shims into here. So when you do that, you actually end up pushing that further down into your distributor. When you push that further down into the distributor, that's where I have problems with that climbing away from the points. It's basically climbing down off the end of these points because you've dropped it out a bit further. And that's why now I have to put a shim in there to get that in the middle of the, or not on the very tip, but down the contact at least 2 or 3 mils. Whether that has helped you, I do not know. Since I set my distributor up to be like this, my carburetor is so easy to tune. The needles are so sensitive. You hear the motor roaring or flattening off, whatever you want, as soon as I did that to my distributor. I always thought it was a vacuum leak or crappy carburetor they have, but it was actually setting this thing up properly. Soon as I got this thing set up, with the extra advance in the front, it runs so smooth in town. The only thing I've got left now is hot starts. I haven't figured out why my cold starts are just beautiful. Just touch the key on a cold day, boom, fires up into a beautiful idle on cold. But on a hot start, I have to crank it for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds, maybe 7 seconds sometimes, or a second crank to start. But as soon as it does start, it idles sweet. In a town, it just drops down to 900 revs, sweet, but it won't start when it's hot. That's my next problem. I might even tell you what I find if I can find out what it is. I'm only running 2 psi on the pressure with a regulator, everything's set up right, but it doesn't work. So I'll figure that one out next.